All right, guys, welcome back to Middle Class Reactions. So, there's been a lot that's happened. The whole Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes thing has been exploding, and I've been kind of waiting to see how it pans out before I really said much about it. But today we're going to get into it a little bit. This might be a little bit of a longer video, not super long, but 15, 20 minutes probably. Because I got a few things to say on this, and I'm going to start. A lot of this is going to be based around Mark Levin. I'm going to probably do a separate video on Ben Shapiro's response because he's just his own box of chocolates to go dig into. But today, this is going to be heavily focused around Mark Levin. So Mark Levin was at the Republican Jewish Coalition, and I mean, he sounded, I don't know if chaotic's the right word. He sounded broken, like his mind was broken. I'm going to play a few minutes of it just to kind of give you an idea of what he was talking about. And then we're going to look at a few other things. So let's take a look.
That's what it is. Isn't it weird that the voices of the woke alt-right isolationists sound more like the Marxists and the Islamists? Isn't it interesting? Little Adolf, Fuentes, little Adolf. He gets here, he's got a little suit on like he's attending a funeral. My advice to little Adolf is just go full, put the brown shirt on. What are you, a coward? Put the brown shirt on. I know you can't grow the Hitler mustache, you're still stuck in your prepubescent stage, but give it a shot. Give it a shot.
So one thing I just want to touch on real quick. Two things there. One, Mark Levin is someone who was screeching when the left was calling Trump a Nazi, saying, hey, we should save, we should keep the Nazi, that we should keep that for actual Nazis, which I agree with. And then now he's turning around and saying that Nick Fuentes is little Hitler. So it's like, do we not see the hypocrisy in that? And then he's going to somehow try to make fun of him, like, oh, he's wearing a suit because he's wearing a suit like he's going to a funeral. But the suit that Mark Levin has on right here looks like an old pastor at a funeral. What do we... And the whole prepubescent thing, like, I mean, the man's 26, Nick Fuentes is. Like, love him or hate him, he's 26. Like, why are we using the left's tactic here of, like, trying to make fun and poke fun at someone to, like, knock him down a few steps? You ever notice that the left will do that? To try to, make you look dumb? But, I mean... Come on now. Okay, we're going to keep going.
To Tucker Carlson, I say, did you have a head injury? What happened to you? But you know what? Unlike other people, truly, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't care why. I just know what you are. You platform these people. You deceive your audience. You lie to your audience. You become a full-blown, out-of-the-closet Jew hater. And if you're a Jew hater... If you're a Jew hater, you're a Christian hater. And they demonstrated that. Christian Zionism. Wow. You know what he said? He said that he despises Christian Zionists more than anybody. More than anybody. More than terrorists? More than Hamas and Hezbollah? More than the Muslim Brotherhood? More than our great friends in Qatar? More than the Taliban? More than mass murders? Christian Zionists? He despises them even more than Jews? Christian Zionists? If you reject Judaism, you reject Christianity. If you reject Judaism and Christianity, then you reject the American founding based on the Judeo-Christian values and belief system.
All right, so this is one where I've got some opinions on this. First of all, Tucker Carlson came out and apologized for saying that he despises Christian Zionists more than anyone. I think it was on the Dave Smith podcast. But I will say, he kind of had a point. Not to say that he should despise Christian Zionists more than anyone, but first off, to me, a Christian Zionist is an oxymoron. Here's why. And Mark Levin just said, if you reject Judaism, you reject Christianity. No, you don't. let's not forget, and before I go into this, in case this video goes viral, I don't hate Jewish people, but Judaism and Christianity in today's world don't go hand in hand. Let's not forget, the Jews are who killed Jesus Christ. They're who put him on the cross. It is what it is. In the Talmud, which is the Jewish holy book, they say that Jesus will should boil in horse excrement or horse semen. They talk trash about Christians all through the Talmud. All through the Talmud. And I mean, they say some pretty horrific things. So, like, I don't know why they think that. I don't know why a lot of Christians, because I am a Christian, I don't know why a lot of Christians think for whatever reason that we have to be like, oh, you got to prop up the Jews. You got to prop up the Jewish people. They live in the borders of modern day Israel, so you have to prop up the Jewish people. No, that is not what the Bible says. That is not what the Bible even referred to. So that if y'all want me to go into that, I can go into it in a separate video, but just for the sake of time, I won't here. But that's not what it says. It's just not, especially being modern day Israel. But again, different conversation. But I reject that wholeheartedly, saying that if you reject Judaism, that you reject Christianity. Would it be the same then that if you reject Christianity, that you also reject Judaism? Because a whole lot of Jews, especially the hardcore Jewish people, they reject Christianity outright. So I don't know why. I don't know why Mark Levin is taking this route. As I think he says he's a Christian. I don't know why he's taking this route. I don't get it. It doesn't quite make sense to me. But I hate that argument. I despise it. I despise the argument that if you're against, that if you have something to say about Jews, or that if you have not necessarily something against Judaism, but overall that you have some pushback on it, that you then hate Christianity and that you're not a real Christian. I despise that argument. I hear it a lot. I hear it from actual Christians. Some that I know. It's just not true. It's not how it is. So, okay, let's keep watching.
If you embrace Hitler, if you play footsie with Hitler, if you think Hitler's misunderstood, if you think Churchill's the reason we had World War II, if you think Churchill was the provocateur, if you think those things, I don't want to debate you. I don't even care about you. That's not a legitimate position. Supporting the Klan's not a legitimate position. Neo-Nazis, that's not a legitimate position. Jihadis, that's not a legitimate position. These are people who want to kill us. These are ideologies that want to kill us. Oh, no, I'm just asking questions. Okay, I'm answering it. I'm answering your damn questions. This is going to separate, and you're going to see.
All right. So that's all I'm going to go over with that particular clip. We have a few other things we're going to look at here. But overall, Mark Levin there just sounds broken to me. It's like he's completely lost his mind. And we're going to get into more of it right here. So just to give you context to this, Tucker Carlson reached out to Mark Levin and said, hey, let's debate. We're always talking about each other. Let's debate it out. And this is per The Hill. We're on their YouTube channel right now. This was on the Mark Levin radio show. And this is what he said his response was to Tucker Carlson.
People are awakening to what scum he actually is. And he thinks I'm going to platform him. He thinks I'm going to help him kick up his podcast ratings. What would Charlie say? What would Rush say? What would any rational response? Here it is. I wrote him the phone.
Okay, first of all, and I see this happening already. Some people like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Josh Hammer, a lot of these guys will say, well, what would Charlie say? Well, Charlie would say sit down and debate, because that's what Charlie did. Charlie would sit, he hosted the Dave Smith and Josh Hammer debate. Like, he would say sit down and debate your problems. He wouldn't say act like a grown man child and not confront your issues, especially after being invited to a debate. Someone invites you to a debate and you got something to say, go debate. But let's keep going.
following. My family and I want nothing to do with you. What you've become, your vile libels against my faith, millions of Christians, and in my view, what you seek to do to our country. There's nothing to debate. You're a Nazi promoter.
Okay, so, all right, he calls Tucker Carlson a Nazi promoter, which, okay, think what you want about Nick Fuentes. Agree, disagree, hate him, love him, whatever. He's not a Nazi. Like, he that's not him. And the part where Mark Levin says, you want me, like, insinuating that Tucker coming on to Mark Levin's show or Mark Levin going on Tucker Carlson's show would promote the ratings. Okay, let's just take a look. This is the Mark Levin show on YouTube. Post a few times a day, looks like. 19 hours, 21 hours, 22 hours, 3 days. 3 days, 4 days, 4 days. So we go back to a week ago. 3.9 thousand views, 2.4 thousand views, 5,000 views, 553 views, 1,500 views, 14,000 views. You know, not getting just a whole lot of views. Tucker Carlson's 608,000, 384,000, 972,000, 619,000. The Nick Fuentes interview is at 5.9 million, but every single one of them nearly are over 350 to 400,000. Most of them being over 600,000. Looks like 972,000 here with MGT. Like, I mean, this random lady who I've never even heard of, 704,000. Like, I mean, who's platforming who here? And this is also my thing with Nick Fuentes. Is like, again, love him or hate him, he's got a platform. I mean, if we go to the Dave Smith debate, that one's at 1.9 million. Let's just look. So, see some of his actual full sit-down debates. This is a recording of, I've watched that debate, that in the actual original channel. 1.4 million here, not a debate, more of an interview, but get the point either way. Let's see, let me do... See, these are all just clips. There's the one with Tucker. And most of these are clips. It's not really showing many of. There's the one with Patrick Bet-David, 3.2 million. So 1.7 million here with Bradley Martin. Which also, sidebar, I watched this one as well 2 or 3 times. Started watching it again. Props to Bradley for having that interview on. For having Nick Fuentes on. Props to him. But either way, like, I mean, you can't say that having Mark Levin on is going to boost your ratings. That's just not the reality of it. Having Nick Fuentes on does boost your ratings. One could argue that someone like Nick Fuentes going on to Tucker Carlson's show, like, Nick is platforming Tucker. I mean, Tucker gets a piss load of views, but I think Nick Fuentes gets more. Especially when he comes on in anything he does posted to YouTube. So, that's just what it is. I mean, you can't say, like, oh, he's not a real person, or he's not a, you know, it's not a legitimate position to have. Like it or not, Nick Fuentes has a huge following, and you got to contend with him. Like, you don't have a choice. Ben Shapiro's kind of making a similar argument, but I'm going to save that for a different video because I could go on a whole rant on Ben Shapiro. But, you know, this whole argument of like, oh, well, he's not a legitimate person and he doesn't hold a legitimate position, we can just ignore him. Sorry, you can't. And now, especially after Charlie Kirk's death, a lot of people are moving to Nick Fuentes' side, me included. Does that mean I agree with everything he says? No. He says some stuff I think is kind of retarded. Like when he says he loves Hitler, or that he admires Joseph Stalin. Yeah, probably shouldn't say that. Now, when he says Hitler's misunderstood, I see what he's saying. I can do a separate video on that. And if this video ever goes viral, that's going to get clipped and bite me in the ass. But not that Hitler was misunderstood. World War II in general was misunderstood, and it's not as simple as Hitler and Nazis bad, and the Americans and the British and the French and, you know, everyone fighting on the other side is good. The United Nations, good. Not that simple. So, yeah, I could do a whole podcast on that. But that's a video for a separate time. But I just watching this whole freak out within the right, the Ben Shapiro and the Mark Levins, who I think are snakes, freaking out, and some of the mainstream media watching, like even Pierce Morgan saying that Nick Fuentes doesn't have a legitimate argument. It's like, sorry, but he does. And they say he's a racist. They say a bunch of things about him, but on the racist one, he's not saying he's not racist. He's pointing out obvious facts that we all know. Like, hey, blacks commit 53% of violent crime. It's not bad to be proud to be white. You can say Black Lives Matter, but as soon as you say White Lives Matter, it's proud. He points things out like that, and it's true. Now, does he say some wild shit? Yes. Nick Fuentes does. Said some wild things. 100%. Are they all wrong, though? No. So, all right, guys, this is where I'm going to leave this one. I could rant about this for hours, but watching this Mark Levin, watching his brain just collapse over this whole thing is very interesting to me. But let me know what you think down. Let me know what you think down below, and let me know if you want me to do a video on the Ben Shapiro side, or let me know what you want. But like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff that you need to, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.